This is the first question. It was originally question 5 on Physics 3 2001. I'll just write that up there so you can see that. And the question said, first of all, it says you should answer in continuous prose. Now, I'm not going to because I haven't got much room here. I'm going to just use bullet points. But you will be assessed on the quality of your written communication. So there's obviously a mark somewhere here. Yeah, over the page, I think, for the quality of your written communication. So question 5A, write a brief account of the use of the CT X-ray scanner in medical imaging. In your answer, you should refer to the principle of the CT scanner, and that's 3 marks. So we're kind of looking for 3 different points there about the CT scanner. The major difference between the way in which information is handled in a CT scan and in a conventional X-ray photograph, and there's 2 marks for that. Okay, and then a principal advantage of the CT scan, and that's a 6th mark. So there's how you're going to get 6 marks there, and it's really worth your while to refer to each of those 3 parts and make sure that you've got those in your answer. And I suppose that seems quite obvious, but maybe it's difficult to do when you're writing about it. So the first part of the question there, the principle of the CT scanner. So I'm going to briefly explain here just, I think the first thing that you need there is a brief explanation of the fact that the CT scanner uses X-rays and then the fact that the X-rays, how they're produced. Now you may not need this to get this mark, but I just think it's important that at least you understand it or try and explain it. So they're produced when electrons are accelerated. I'm just going to write electrons accelerated across an X-ray tube or a vacuum. And then they lose energy when they hit a rotating anode. And that's what produces, that energy then is produced as X-rays, produces X-rays. Now I'm not sure if you need all that in there because you haven't got very much room there and you've got really 6 points to write. So I'm not sure that you do need it, but that certainly is a good bit of detailed information. The next part then is another principle, and so the X-ray tube, so a CT scanner uses X-ray tube and the detector are opposite each other. The detector's in behind the patient or the area of the body that's being investigated. I'm not going to write that in there because I haven't got enough room, but if you have your, I just draw this here, that's your X-ray waves, there's your patient, and there's where your scanner is, or your detector is. But what happens is they're opposite each other and they're rotated around an axis. So if this goes this way, this goes this way, and so on. This is the photographic film, and there's your patient there. So rotated around an axis. And whenever they're rotated about the axis, they take a series of images which are built up on top of each other to produce a slice. So series of images produced about that axis. And then they're superimposed or built up on top of each other. You probably can't see this, I've just put up a wee bit. So the series of images are produced, they're built up on top of each other to produce a slice through the body. Okay, so then if you have, say this is part of your stomach, what they do is then they move the whole system down the way, if that's you know, part of your abdomen. They move down or up depending on what they need to see. So the whole system is moved. To build up a 3D image. Of body part. So I mean, obviously there's a length of view that the camera needs to see. So that would be your marks there. There's one mark for saying it uses X-rays. I'm not sure about this, but I put it in anyway. A mark for saying that they're rotated about an axis. A mark for saying a series of images produced, and then you get a slice. And to me, that's probably your three things about the principle of it. The major difference between the way in which the information is handled in a CT scan and a conventional X-ray photograph. So I'm just going to answer that. With the X-ray, you just see a 2D image on photographic paper. And then with your CT scan, that can build up a 3D image or cross-section, I suppose, of body part. You probably get away with saying just a slice of the body part. So that's your two marks here. And then your last mark, the principal advantage of a CT scan. And the principal advantage of a CT scan, it gives a very detailed image. Of a cross section. Of the body. And you probably can't see that, so I'll just move that up there. I'm just realising you couldn't see the X-ray. So I'll just repeat the answer to this part up here, the bit about the major difference. With an X-ray, you get a 2D image on photographic paper. It's now usually put in computer actually. A CT scan though gives you a 3D image of a body part. So you get a slice, maybe you want to say that in there instead. And the main advantage is a CT scan is a very detailed 3D image of a cross section